morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. What a lovely day. Sure, it's such a beautiful day. I had to go sit on my little stoop at the back, just to sort of take in the beautiful morning and the fresh air and all of that. So really a beautiful day. Lots to do today. But let's see, how far we get. I've managed to rest quite well over the long weekend. So I'll spend some more time resting today because it's family day. But we'll see. There's lots that I want to do today as well. And I feel like I'm really recharged and ready for the rest of this week. This week, we have a fantastic lineup of guests. Three guests this week. So Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, we're going to have guests. I will announce them. I've already announced them in some of the other episodes before. But I do want to share with you who all three of them are during the course of today's episode. And you shouldn't miss any of those, later in the week. I'm really excited as well for my topic for tomorrow. We'll see. I've got a plan for something that I've wanted to speak about for a long time. Things that I've written about in my books, like not books, but my my notebooks. When I have ideas and things like that. So I'm looking forward to sharing just some of that with you. So to get your feedback and your input and see, what's happening on that side and how you feel about that. But I'll announce that later today. So good morning, Raymond. Raymond back for some more. Thank you very much for being here. The same with Malcolm. Malcolm, thank you very much for being here again this morning. Good morning, Neil Strydom. Once again back. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I mean, Lottering as well. You've been here almost every single day. Thank you very much. Stephen, welcome. Stephen, we can chat after the show, by the way. Sorry, I missed your call yesterday because I left my phone on silent. Because usually I put it on silent when it's here next to me, and then I forget to switch it back on. So I did see you called yesterday afternoon, but give me a call, say about 9:15 or so, then we can have a chat. Cool beans. So that's awesome. Over on LinkedIn, Slanganani says, Goeiemôre almal, môre Slanganani, Sunny Bunani. Very good morning to our community, says Kobus. Klein Kobus, welcome. Sureta, welcome back. And Yoga, welcome. First time I've seen you here, or the first time maybe that you've said hi. Whatever it may be, thank you very much for being here. I appreciate that you joined us. Then Neil Phillips, good morning, Neil. You've also been here like every single day. I really appreciate it, my friend. And I look forward to do lots more of these. Chad, good morning. Welcome back, Chad. Nice to have you here again. Anel de Bruin Petersen, good morning, Anel. Thank you for being here. I think it's also the first time that I've seen you here, or maybe the first time, as I said, that you said hi. I won't know. But thank you very much for being here. Peter Strydom, once again, good morning and welcome back. And then the same with Ronnie Else. Welcome back. A lot of regulars in the house. I really appreciate it. And so I realized yesterday as I went on through episode 24, which was all about how do we host virtual client events, and should we be doing that? Excuse me. And as I was talking about it, I just realized there's so much more to this thing that I need to talk about, that an hour is not going to be enough. And in the episode, I said I'll go in a little bit more into it. I think specifically the process side of it and how you should go about getting an event like that together. And then obviously the technology that we need to use. And so I'm going to show you on the screen later on some of the equipment recommendations and things. We'll go search for it together on Take a Lot, and I'll show you the ones that I recommend. And then but first of all, I mean, before we do that, I would want to obviously remind you to say hi if you haven't said hi yet. Then also, if you want to share your thoughts and your opinions, or you want to ask questions, please do so in the chat. By now that I want the community to also interact. There's a lot of people with a lot of knowledge and ideas and opinions and things in this group. We're really supportive, so we want to help one another. So there is no such thing as a stupid question. The only stupid question is the one that you did not ask. That's the stupid one. So please ask your questions and engage with the community. That's why we are here. So that we can get through all of this together and be stronger for it, once we hit recovery and we move forward. Then also on YouTube, please remember to subscribe to the channel. I really appreciate it. We've grown. I think this morning we're on 184. So in the last 28 days, we've grown by 105 subscribers. Thank you very much for that. I really, really appreciate it. And if you want to help me out, please like or react to this video. If you're on LinkedIn, you can react to the video, so you can celebrate or love it or find it insightful or whatever, or you can just plain old like it. So please, especially on YouTube as well, if you like what we're discussing, hit the like button. And as I said, subscribe if you feel like you get a lot of value from this. I really appreciate it. All right, so let me just first off start with a bit of a recap. So that we are all on the same page. Some of you were not here yesterday, maybe. I don't know if you did watch the recording or at least part of it. But basically, yesterday I spoke about all the different types of events that one could have. And those ranged all the way from appreciation events all the way to workshops, charity events in between, those kind of things. So we really spoke about that. And I think the idea is to say, well, you need to be very clear on what it is that you want to do and why you want to have a client event in the first place. And I've been thinking a lot about when I was putting together sort of the process for this, and to say, well, specifically when it gets to certain things, this is all going to cost money. But then I'm thinking, hey, you're not spending money on food and drinks and a venue. So still, if you need to spend money on some of the technology stuff, you're going to be a lot better off from an investment point of view of the amount of money that you need to put into this in order to make it work. We also spoke about the fact that you don't only have to choose a particular event. So you don't only do an appreciation event or only a charity event or only a workshop. You could actually blend some of these together because they would work well together, It's just that, again, you need to focus on the goal that you have and what are you trying to achieve? Why are you doing this? And then you need to say, well, some of these different types of events, how can they maybe work together, for us to create that unique experience? And with that, at the end of it, yesterday, we also went into the whole process in the sense of, how do you go virtual? And the main thing there was to have that goal, as I already mentioned. If you have that goal, you're clear about what are we trying to achieve? And I'm on my way to Durban. I'm not on my way to Cape Town, because otherwise you may find yourself somewhere in Kimberley, maybe. Not that that's necessarily bad, but that's not where you intended to go. Maybe one day you wanted to go to Kimberley, but now you needed to go to Durban for whatever reason it was. So we need to make sure that we're very clear on why we're doing this and what we're trying to achieve through this, because that will inform the type of event that you want to have, how you put it together, the messaging behind it, everything that we discussed yesterday would go into that. So if you did miss it or you didn't manage to watch the whole thing, I encourage you to go watch episode 24. It is on the YouTube channel. There's a playlist if you get to my channel there's a playlist that'll say Virtual Coffee with Francois Live, and all of the previous episodes are there from number 1 all the way to number 24. And after this broadcast, it'll be up to 25. So 25 days in a row, eh? Wow, time has been flying. So it's amazing what I've been able to do in the last 25 days. It's only an hour a day, but the amount of content and ideas and things that you come up with, if you have to do this daily, it's amazing. And it's only an hour, that I spend with you, and maybe another hour and a half preparing, in most cases. Some, there was 1 or 2 that took me longer, but most of them are around an hour and a half to prepare, because the things I talk about is the things that I work with, the things that I do, the things that I try, the things that I experience. It's not based on necessarily I need to go study something and then try and come and teach you what I've read in a book. So the things that I'm sharing with you are 99% things that I do and try myself. So it makes it a bit easier for me at this point. And then obviously when we have guests, I think that adds a lot of value. We're going to look at getting on a lot more guests now in the next few weeks. Got some great people in mind, and I'll share with you on that. So maybe before I move on to get into, because I want to start with the process, is that on Wednesday, I'll have Wessel Oosthuizen with me, and we're going to talk about your reason for being. And as I said to you, I had this discussion with Wessel on Thursday, and it was amazing. It was really eye-opening and mind-blowing, really, to be honest. And I had to ask him, Wessel, don't you want to share this with people? And as I said to you before, this has got nothing to do with financial planning. And the best way I could summarize this is, the concept that he's going to be talking about and the things that he's going to share with you has got everything to do with your reason for being. So yeah, I really want to encourage you not to miss this. You need to diarize this for sure. If we're not in your diary already from 8 until 9, then please put us in for Wednesday. You're really in for a great treat from that sense. All right, so let's start with the process of, if you now want to go. Obviously, I now assume that you've now already decided on what you want to do, who you want to invite. So all of that stuff that we spoke about yesterday, that is now done and it's in place. Now the techie needs to hit the road or the tar or whatever it's hitting. Maybe sometimes the gravel road, but it needs to hit something. So meaning that we now need to start getting ready to present and to host this event. So the very first step that you obviously need to do is to now invite your guests. And hopefully here, you have very specific guests that you want to invite, because there's obviously many ways of going about. You can have it as an open event to say, listen, I'm going to talk about, here's the topic. Let's say I'm going to talk about budgeting in difficult times, for example. And then it's an open event and whoever wants to come, comes. But if we're looking at things like appreciation events and that kind of thing, it's got to be very targeted, okay? So there's got to be invitations that needs to go out regardless of the type of event that you've got. And you need to decide how you're going to disperse of these invitations. I almost said investments. No, don't do that. But yeah, so I think, one of the main ways that we do send out invitations usually is obviously via email. So email is sort of the easiest way because one, if you're going to send it out snail mail, which may very well work today, because, when you do things that nobody else is doing, you stand out. But the problem is if people can't go out and fetch their mail, it's not really going to help. So you want to use things that are going to reach the intended people that you want, or the people that you intend inviting. So email obviously is a big one. Then you can also invite them via WhatsApp. You can call them like good old fashioned. Hey, Johan, this is Francois. We put together this event for a select group of our clients who we really want to say thank you to show our appreciation for you. This is what's going to happen. This is the idea, and we would really much like for you to come or to attend this. We're going to do it virtually, blah, blah, blah. And then, get them to say yes or no. Or to say, I need to go speak to my wife, obviously, sometimes. But, and then, so I think that's the one part is sort of, how do I send it out? I wouldn't invite someone via SMS, to be honest. I think that's maybe if you just want to if that's an open kind of event, that may work as well. But otherwise, something that you can personalize actually, because think about it. And WhatsApp there is also a problem if you're thinking about using like a broadcast list. So you create a broadcast list with the people that you want to invite, and then you send them an invitation. I don't think it's really email here would probably be the best, because I can personalize it. I can say, hey, John, great to see you, blah, blah, blah. So the message could be the same, but it could be personalized, and you can put their names in a couple of places, and the system can actually, if you're doing it obviously automate in an automated way, then you could personalize it to a very high degree. And I think then it speaks to the person and you make them feel special, because remember, you have to have a compelling story and a compelling message. You got to be unique. You got to stand out. So those things still apply. And we need to think about that when we're doing the invitations. So the one part of it is sending it out. The other part about that is creating the actual invitation. And that is sometimes, like, how do we do that? So you could obviously send a plain email, there's nothing wrong with that, because that's even more personal. If you wanted to do something really nice and just a generic, maybe making them aware that listen, we sent you an email with this, you want to WhatsApp that to them. I think that's a great idea. But some of the tools that I would recommend that you can use as and I know there's always people that if everybody uses this, then they want to use the opposite thing. So that's cool. I just want to give you some ideas about tools that you could use in order to create this. Obviously, if you have somebody that's very, very creative and they can do graphic design for you and they can come up with something wonderful, just outsource it. But if you want to do it yourself, again, canva.com, canva.com. Canva.com, there's a lot of pre-made things on there that you can easily customize and that really looks great. Or you can design it from scratch on there. You can do 90% of the things you want to do, I think, for free, or maybe 80% then. But it's really a great tool that I use often. It's quick. It's really easy to position things and resize things and move them around, and also like move them up, like what is in front of what, you can move things around like that. So that's quite cool. But yeah, so Canva would be my go-to tool for that. Then obviously you can also use PowerPoint. A lot of people, you'll see when companies invite you, you often get like a PowerPoint slide thing that they send you, or they design this whole thing in PowerPoint and then they would PDF it and send it to you, whatever. But I mean, it's because it's so easy in PowerPoint to add things and drag and drop and resize and color and do all of those things. So you could do that as well. And you can use similar things like Keynote for Mac, and you can use Google Slides. Obviously, you can use that as well. But that is something. You could also use publishing kind of thing like Microsoft Publisher. I'm not sure what the other ones are called, but there are lots of these sort of graphic design kind of things. You can obviously also use Photoshop or Affinity Photo. So those are the sort of, I think, the software packages that I would recommend. Of all of them, if you don't want a learning curve, in other words, you got to sit there and figure this stuff out, then Canva is definitely your go-to option for that. All right, so let me quickly have a check-in here. Good morning, Kirsty. Welcome back. Frans Hatting, welcome back, Frans. Good morning, Titi. Yeah, a little late, but it's cool, man. You're here. Terence is launching a podcast, I see. So good luck with that, Terence. And I always like, if there's one thing about Terence that amazes me, is the level of action that he takes. When he decides to do something, you can be sure he's going to make it happen. So that's awesome. Razan, good morning. Welcome. Carl van Vieren, welcome back. And Johan Marais, welcome back. Thank you, everybody, for being here again this morning. So that's sort of the invitation part of it. But then what happens after I've sent out the invitations? Well, people need to book. So there needs to be some way to capture the RSVPs. And there's obviously two methods that we can go about doing that: the old manual route and then the automated route. I always recommend and prefer, and that's why I recommend it, is because I prefer the automated route, because it just makes things so much easier. When we did our financial planning refresher, the whole booking process was automated. There was one little step that I had to build in that needed some manual intervention, but it was literally 2 clicks that I needed to do in order to move the process forward. So I didn't have to capture anything. I sent out all the CPD certificates last night, the link where you can download the case study solutions and the slides and everything from the session, and not one came back. Usually when we send out CPD certificates, there's always 3 or 4 or 5 freaking emails that comes back. And I hate doing something twice. It's not my thing. And, it was just fantastic yesterday because everybody inputted their own details and their own stuff. I'm not getting it via a third party or having to look at an attendance register that's handwritten and I can't make out what it says. Everybody puts in that. So it just makes sure that you don't have these, they got my name wrong again. Let the client put in their own name and their own email address and things, and then it's going to be right 99% of the time. But yeah, so RSVP, if you want to do it manually, obviously, there's a few ways to do that. You can keep an Excel or a Google Sheets sort of list, of so a list of everybody that you invited, and then you can just attending yes or no, and you can keep a record like that. And then obviously also you can do that in Word in a table if you wanted to, just keep some form of a list, or you can just do plain old paper, have a book, notepad with the names and just mark who's coming and who's not. I always look at it, from a point of view is how can I repurpose if I've got this information? If I say repurpose, it's not to abuse it. It's just for this event. If I get the information once, how can I use it again and again and again to enhance the experience that the client is going to have? I think that part is extremely important. And we need to consider, if we've got that on paper versus having it in an Excel spreadsheet where I can use it again or import it somewhere or do things like that, So at least if you don't have an automated RSVP system, then you could have it in Excel and then import that Excel into your emailing system, for example, in order to communicate with these people easily without having to go capture them one by one by one. So that would really work well. And then obviously the opposite of the manual sort of process would be to have an automated RSVP process. There are systems that's what they offer. They focus on RSVPs. C-Vent are one of those. You'll always see, like when the FBI do their things, a lot of the companies is C-Vent is sort of at the bottom because they sort of help with the bookings and the RSVPs, etc., etc. And obviously, a lot of these RSVP systems you'll have to pay for. There are ways to do it for free. I mean, the thing that I'm using in order to get everything done that I need to do, and that includes a payment processor, so that I'm able to, once you've completed the form, take payment. Now, for a lot of these events, you won't have to take payment, but and I'm not even going to talk about that, but that's something else you can decide on. If you have an event for marketing and prospecting purposes, you could actually charge for it, because you don't want 100 people booking and then nobody's showing. So when people pay, they tend to show. And I saw that with my financial planning refresher. I had 30 people book. You know how many people showed up? 30. It's amazing, because they paid for it. Although not a lot, they still paid for it. And they showed up and they were there for the entire event. That was the beauty of it. So yeah, it's interesting when people have some skin in the game, how they can commit, and it's not so easy for them then to back out of stuff. So you may want to do that. But surely you're not going to charge for a ticket if you want to say thank you, or you want to celebrate something. That'll be for free. If you want to do a training workshop, that kind of thing, you will charge for example, or you could if you wanted to. But anyway, so in terms of that, I mean, it's costing me $50 a year to have that functionality on my website. But you could get away just with a $29, for example, a year as well, easily, if you just want to automate the booking, so that somebody goes on your website, they fill in the form, and from there everything else is happening automatically. From that point of view, and then you don't need any manual intervention really. So it's not a lot of money, really, if you think about it. But the way I would automate this is then, as I said, another way is through just a form on my website. That's easy, the preferred way, because they get to see your branding, they get to interact with your website. We want to drive people to our websites if you've got a website. Also, you got to just make sure that your website is properly set up to really achieve certain things that you want to achieve. But that we already spoke about in another session. So yeah, from an RSVP point of view, like I want to share this with you. So everybody that booked for the financial planning refresher, so yesterday I went into the system, I downloaded all of the RSVPs directly from my website. It was already in an Excel format. I set up the form in such a way that the fields are in the order that I need them to create the CPD certificates automatically. Because if I had to go and create 30 of them and type in people's names and their ID numbers, I was bound to get something wrong somewhere. But now everything was a download and a merge, and boop, there you go. And I sent out 30 emails, all with PDF attachments attached to it. The PDF saved to the correct folder on my PC for future reference, because there's some of those people who's going to say they never received it. And this is coming from my own email from Outlook. It's not coming through the bulk emailing system. So chances of it not going through is very, very slim. But, sometimes people miss those things. So then I need to be able to go and retrieve that very easily. And that's why it says, but all of that is automated. So I set up a template once with the reference number, the CPD amounts or the CPD points that you get, etc. And it does that. And that's the power. You can save yourself so much time if you do it that way. So I'm belaboring the point maybe here around RSVPs, and we can move on. But that's the thing between doing it manually and having it automated. It's really a way to save yourself a lot of time and a lot of mistakes and a lot of frustration. Because once you get it in there, there's lots that we can do after that. Cool beans. So before we talk about confirmation, let me see quickly. Good morning, Chris Jansen van Rensburg. First time I've seen you here. Good morning. Welcome. Thank you for saying hi. Good morning, Lalani. Nice to have you here as well. I think it's the second time I've seen you here, so thank you very much. Automation is very important as long as it speaks to your underlying process. Regular review of process is very important to test for relevance. Absolutely. And it can be unique for every event as well. It's not that you've done it once. You maybe have a process, but maybe the content will be different because it's a different kind of event. There's a different kind of outcome that we're looking for. And we need to understand whether does this automation still fulfill the role in this instance or not. Is there something else that we should do? So it's definitely not something that you'll do once and then just use it blindly after that. but you would need to go and revisit that regularly and just make it better and better. And I'll get to that in a second. All right. So obviously then confirmation, because once they've RSVP'd, often you don't get a confirmation from someone or from whoever you're RSVPing with, and then you don't know. So maybe they send you a WhatsApp to say, listen, I RSVP. So now you go and tick them on the list, but you never send a confirmation back to them. But I mean, be that as it may, you can have, again, for confirmations, a manual or an automated approach. From a manual thing, you can call them and say, thank you very much. We received your RSVP. Thank you for attending. We really appreciate it. There will be maybe more communications, whatever going to happen in the future. And, that can just be very timely and costly as well, but it is very personal and it makes people feel special if you can call them and say thank you. So maybe you can sort of think about certain of the clients that you definitely want to phone, or if it's only a small group of 10 people, then phone all of them. Obviously, you can also send out, using just normal email, so Outlook and Gmail. I would see Outlook and Gmail and those kind of tools as manual, because you have to go and send them one by one. Maybe you can do mail merge and things like that into Outlook as well. I don't know if you know that. So it is quite possible to have one template that is then sort of personalized, and you can send them from there. The problem that you often sit with, if it's too many people, then your ISP may have a problem, or your email provider may have a problem sending these bulk emails now from an email that is intended to be business or personal emails. That's why all of these sort of bulk emailing systems exist. But if you have 10, 20, 30 people, then it's definitely not an issue at all. Then also you can confirm by WhatsApp, or you can send them SMS confirmation. The problem with these things are that you've got to go send them one by one usually, or, there is some form of manual intervention that you need. And I know there's a way of getting bulk SMSs to be sent and do things like set up a template and say, these are the numbers I want to send it to, and you send it off once. So you can definitely do that. So it's not 100% like one by one, but one should try and avoid these one by one kind of interactions, because they just too labor intensive, and it doesn't really add that much value. Obviously, if you want to automate, then the two tools that I always recommend is MailChimp, and if you want more than what MailChimp can offer, and even if you get into the paid tiers with MailChimp, I would rather invest in ConvertKit. ConvertKit is much better from my point of view. We send out a lot of things through there. We can do a lot of integration and automation and things with ConvertKit. We've now recently, with the COVID-19 relief measures, that we've put together documents and packs and things to make it easy for people, so that people can understand what's going on. And we've taken all of the information that is all on all the different websites and brought them into one thing. So those things, when people sign up to get the free part of it, it triggers a series of things, and it will put them into the list. They can say what they are interested in. They will get an email from that person in our group that offers that service, but it's all automated. Nobody needs to go and say, oh, I received an email from John and I need to reply to John. No, all of this stuff happens automatically. And I know you can do some of it in MailChimp as well, but for me, it's like the control and the things that I can do in ConvertKit, and the fact that it's plain emails plays a big part in why I recommend that over MailChimp. But it does cost you, $29 a month at this point if you've got less than 1,000 people. So yeah, it is a bit more expensive, but it works great. Anyway, so that is if you want to run confirmation, so that as soon as somebody RSVPs, what you can do is we can link all the automated steps together. So if you have an automated RSVP, in other words, somebody can click a link in the invitation, they go to a form, they complete the form, and you only ask the information that you really, really need. Okay. You don't want to ask like all these questions like, oh, who do you work for? How many people are there? This is not a prospecting thing. So you want to get the name, the surname, the email address, and maybe dietary requirements if you were having a face-to-face event. If you're not having a face-to-face event, it's not relevant. So only name, surname, and an email address, for example. So that's what you'll do. Once they click the RSVP button, it then goes through and it puts them into your ConvertKit list, for example. That will trigger an email back to them to say, thank you, we received your RSVP. Please remember X, Y, and Z for however you put up, however you put together that confirmation email. But that happens automatically. All right. But then the next step from there, once we've now confirmed and everybody's happy that they know, then we need to send them reminders because people tend to forget. Now, if we are clever about this in terms of reminders, because often if you send too many reminders, people can get irritated. I mean, you think about, webinars and things. Sometimes you get an email a week before, an email 3 days before, an email the day before, an email 6 hours before, and another hour, and then 10 and 15 minutes before. It's just, okay, I know, but if you can make these reminder emails really, or however you send your reminders, because the same things that we use for confirming, we can use exactly the same methods for sending reminders. But add value. If you're clever, add value to those reminders. So maybe you introduce a speaker. Maybe you introduce some interesting information. Maybe you share with them, what they can expect from one particular thing. Or maybe you have a surprise thing that you're going to do at this event, and you maybe want to make them aware that there's going to be a surprise. So you can focus with every time you send a reminder, put something in there that's going to get up their excitement and get them, I need to attend this. And also, I mean, if you do it well, then we'll probably tell other people about it as well. Wow, my advisor has put together this event and I can't wait for it. I'm looking forward to it, etc. So from a reminder point of view, it's really an opportunity to create more excitement. It's not just simply, this is a reminder that we have our event on Sunday evening from 9 until 10. Thank you. Yeah, it's nie wat ons wil doen nie. So you want to create excitement. You want to get them like pumped up for this whole thing, and you need to focus on that compelling story and that compelling messaging of yours in order to drive that. And also, I mean, you can include just think about this. If you just have a little video, just to say, hey, thank you. And I've done it, a few times when people book for my courses. I would record a little video on WhatsApp, 10, 20 seconds, just to say, hey, PT, thank you very much for booking. I really, really appreciate it. And I can't wait to see you there. Thanks and keep well. We'll be in touch. Boom. That's it. It's under 10 seconds. And I send the video to them. The responses that I get from that, and it didn't take me much time. So those are the same kind of things that you can do here. So you could have a standard video that you recorded before the time, just to say, listen, thank you so much for RSVPing. You include that video, a link to that video, so you can host it on Vimeo or on YouTube or somewhere unlisted so that nobody can find it. But then you embed that into your email, and when they click it, it'll take them to that video and they will be able to view it. And it's just a quick little thank you video. I don't think it's maybe as powerful as WhatsApp, because the chances of them opening the WhatsApp video is much higher than them clicking on that link to go to YouTube or Vimeo, because they don't know what to expect. But here on WhatsApp, they can see, it's only 10 seconds. Let me click on it. That kind of thing. So depending, again, if you have 1,000 people attending your event, that's not going to be very, very practical. All righty. Cool beans. We are just about halfway or just over halfway. Let's see. Good morning, Johan Kluter. Welcome. Neil says, how would you suggest sending bulk emails? Xplan, Outlook, MailChimp, or ConvertKit? So because of the tracking and because of the automation and because of the sequences, when it's for marketing or events or anything like that, I would rather use bulk emailing. And again, I mean, I will stick with ConvertKit, but MailChimp is a good alternative. There are also other ones that you could use. Aweber is there. I can't remember all of them. I know people are not that keen on Infusionsoft, but I'm not sure, Neil. There's quite a number of these systems that one could use. I only recommend the ones that I personally use and that I find work for me. So yeah, I would definitely go with ConvertKit. If you want to be sending clients like updates on their servicing requests, or it's work related stuff where it's feedback and updates and things, then if you can do that from your CRM directly, that's the better bet. Because of that, you need definitely a record and you want it to be inside your system. I know some of the CRM systems do integrate with MailChimp. I know at work did that, and I'm pretty sure that Xplan will do that as well. So you could actually sort of link the two, because all of them generate what is called API. So there's a bridge where you can connect the two to one another so that it pulls the information from one system to the other. But I won't use ConvertKit and MailChimp for things like feedback and work-related emails. This is for marketing and events and having constant communication, value-added communication. So this is nothing to do with work. It's got more to do. Then I'll use the bulk emailing systems rather. So I hope that answers your questions. All right. Let's see. Sheldon, good morning, Sheldon. He says, not sure if you mentioned the name, but what form plugin do you use for your website, and for the paid options, what payment gateway? So Payfast I use for everything, because they offer everything. Their service is excellent, and their fees are market related. It's not that you get one of these payment providers that charges a lot less than the others. I've become accustomed to Payfast. So Payfast is my way. They offer, and you can choose what you want as a payment option. So you can have credit cards and EFTs, and I've gone only with instant EFTs, where it's a whole integrated process where it will just ask you which bank are you with, then you log in. It'll say which account do you want to use, and then everything goes through. So there's no having to go into your internet banking and go set up an account for me or for Payfast so that they know that it's coming to me, etc. So none of that. It's a simple, straightforward process. And then credit cards. We used to have a whole host of things on there, but I found that most people pay via credit card or EFT, and that's why in the end, if you don't, you shouldn't offer too many options, but they've got a lot of options. Then in terms of my forms, I've used many. I've used, obviously, a lot of people start off with, if you've got WordPress, they use contact form 7. I used that for a long time, but then also WP Forms, I use that, but that tends to slow down your website. I found if you enable that plugin and you test the website, you'll see that it takes it reduces the load time quite a bit. Not like seconds, but I mean, it's like 0.6 seconds or something that additional load time come on. And if you add up a lot of things, it does have an influence. And then what was the other one that I used? There was another one, but in the end, I landed up with Caldera Forms, and Caldera, I can do so much with the free form that I don't even have. I did purchase the pro version because I wanted to do certain PDF stuff in that, but you don't need that because everything that I want to do is actually included in the free version. And the only other thing that I then purchased is an integration with Payfast. So that was built specifically for Caldera Forms, so that I have a processor that I can switch on, so that what all the processor is like, if you click the submit button, then process this. And there's a whole lot of conditional things that I can do, and I can do calculations and all sorts of things there. So from my point of view, it works well for what I want to do. If it's just a plain sort of thing, you can really use any of the form plugins, but Caldera works quite well for me. And the way you build the forms and everything is quite intuitive in my mind. But that's the one that I've gone with currently. Cool. Right. Great question. Shlanganani, most invites come with automatic calendar attachment, so your client can save the event on their calendar. Yes, that is actually something that you can implement as well. You can, all you'll do is, it's actually quite easy. You'll just create that calendar invite, let's say in Outlook, and you would save it. And then you would upload it, let's say, to your WordPress website, and you would just include that link to that so that it actually downloads that file. They click it and it adds it to their calendar. I know Google Calendar works a bit differently because that's obviously a link to go into the online one, but it's definitely possible to do that. Godfrey, good morning. Does email attachments have an impact on whether the emails is flagged as spam by servers? No. It's got much more to do with the design. And it's got much more to do with the amount of links that you've got in there and the amount of pictures and those things, because that is typically an indicator of that. Some places also gets flagged, if there are a lot of things being reported as spam, then the servers start to flag them as spam as such. So even if you send a legit email from that same sort of provider, where it's not marketing, it's just a plain email to listen, this is an update of what's happening in my business. Sometimes that might also get caught up. And that's why when we do send emails to clients, it shouldn't be all salesy. You should do 80% of the time should be value added stuff, and 20% of the time should actually be maybe selling as well. But yeah, different businesses work differently. And also depends on whether your client whitelisted your email address for that. That also helps. If you've got a problem with people, I've done this with, because I work with people that work for Liberty and for Old Mutual and so forth. And obviously, I've got a lot of them on my database. When I send an email, there's 100 emails hitting, let's say, Liberty server, and it's just, whoa, this is spam. So I had to sort of contact them and say, listen, whoa, this is communication because we've onboarded people. This is how they get started with circulars, for example, or this is how they get started with whatever. So it's not spam. We're not sending marketing stuff. This is a introduction and a step-by-step how to get going, for example. And then they can whitelist the email address from that side. So it's a bit more issue, and whoever you're working with, just ask them to get your email address, white labeled on the server side. Because as much as we do things right on our side, there's still certain rules that they implement, and some companies are much more strict on those rules than others. All right, let me move on because I want to get to the event. And the first thing when it comes to the event, because now it's time, so we've invited people, they have confirmed, we reminded them, and now it's time to host this event. Now, obviously, some of the things I'm going to share with you are things that should be in place before the time, but these are the things I want to focus on, what is necessary to run this event. Okay. And the first thing is obviously, in real life, you need a venue. Okay. You need a space where you can host this event. But for online, you need a platform. So that's the first thing. And I mean, there are lots of them out there. Again, Zoom works very well for me. So with Zoom, we can do webinar style type, or I can have meeting style sort of virtual session. So what makes the meetings one better than the webinars? Not that I can't give you the mic in a webinar, we can definitely do that, but the meetings version is much more interactive, if you know what I mean. And also we can see everybody on the screen, because when you have an event like this, you don't just want to see me. You also maybe want to see the other participants, unless there's 100 people, then maybe that's not going to be so feasible to do that. And then maybe you rather want to use something that's more geared towards that. But definitely, from that point of view, if you look at the platforms, and there's quite a number of them, I'm going to read them out to you. I can't remember all of them offhand, but Zoom, obviously, as I say, is one of them. Google Meet, but for Google Meet, you need a G Suite subscription. So you need to be using their G Suite and pay for it. Then as part of that, you get Google Meet. So there's a lot of good reviews on that as well. Then Microsoft Teams, because on Microsoft Teams, if you've got the paid version, depending on the kind of Office 365 thing you've got, you are able to host live events. The only problem with that is, as far as I've seen, I'm still testing it out, but as far as I've seen, if you do create a live event, there's no registration process. So you need to do the registration outside of this. And again, the things that I've shared with you previously will make that quite easy for me. But the other day, I think it was for Zest Live, that I registered for a particular webinar that they have. They're going to do it via MS Teams, but it was a manual process, because I had to click a thing that sends an email to someone, and they then responded to me to say, thank you, here's the link for this. And that whole thing could be automated. Still, if I fill in instead of me sending you an email, let me click a link, fill in my details, it goes through, it then does whatever it needs to do, and it sends me an email with the link in it. So it is definitely possible to do that. But with Zoom, if you want people to register, you can let them register as well for that event. So you can even use their registration as an RSVP if you wanted to. Then there's also another thing called Crowdcast. So again, that costs money. It starts off at, I think, $29. It's got some functionality. It's built for virtual events, particularly. Remember, Zoom is more a meeting platform and more a webinar type platform. So Crowdcast may be more towards what you're looking for. So you can go have a look at, which of these ones really work well. I think with Zoom or Teams or Google Meet, you'll go far. And there's obviously things like GoToMeeting or GoToWebinar, and some people use Webinar Jam and all sorts of other things. But I just think from an ease of use point of view, and just something that is solid and that you can really rely on, because the one thing you don't want is to have this event, you've created all this hype, and then on the day you arrive and, oh, this is the stuff up. So you don't want that. So Zoom, Google Meet, and Microsoft Teams are the go-to. Then Crowdcast and Hey Summit. So Hey Summit, one word. You can go have a look at that as well. Also built more for having summits and virtual events and things like that. So depending on the kind of, the way that you want to run your event and the things that you want to be able to do, one platform may then be better suited for that kind of event than the other. So obviously that can be a whole session in itself as well. But that's it. Okay, so that's the first thing. So then we have the second part, which is the equipment. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Takealot, because I usually buy all my stuff from Takealot or from Tom's. So the things that I want to share with you right now is like, obviously at the moment you can't really order because this is not essential services. Although I've seen places like Audio Mart say that there's certain things that they are allowed to ship as essential services, like PA systems and things like that. So that is quite interesting. So let me see. All right, let me share my screen with you. There we go. All right. Looks like we're going to the vortex. Alrighty. So from that point, let's see. I want to go for, as I said to you yesterday, Logitech is my preferred brand. Okay, so Logitech 6922. So let me show that to you. It'll be interesting to see the price. But this is the webcam that I recommend for sure. It says, well, could not find what you're looking for. So let's go webcam. Let's just see. Some weird books that's coming up here. So let's just see. Maybe I'm not sure if Logitech should be spelled. Well, the thing is, I think the problem is that they've closed down all the things that it's not essential services. So I think that's maybe the thing. So unfortunately, I can't show you that then. But yeah, it's fine. So again, I'm going to put together a list that I'll make available as a download anyway. That may give you all of these, the process plus my recommended sort of things. So I would say, just in this case for the equipment. So one is obviously have a good webcam. I spoke about this in length yesterday as well. So the C922 or the C920 of Logitech is maybe two options that you can look at. But then your audio is so important. And that's where people are like, okay, what do I get? So the one is get a USB microphone, an external USB microphone. There are many different ones that you can get. Samsung is one of the ones that people usually go for as well when it gets to USB microphones. There are Rode USB microphones that you could use, and they vary in terms of price. From that point, they've got a new NT USB Mini, which is just a small little, it's a beautiful little microphone. I don't know if it's available in South Africa yet because it was launched recently. And I don't know what it costs because I wasn't able to find out the cost for that, but that can work well as well. Then obviously you can have bigger setups like I've got. So the plan is that in the guide, I'll tell you this is the starter option, this is the intermediate, and this is more your advanced type of option. So you can go have a look at, the kind of investment that you're willing to make and what do you want to do in terms of the experience that you want to create. But that you definitely need to consider. Also then headphones. You can have a headphone set or headset that's got the headphones and the microphone built in. Again, Logitech in the range of between 400 and 800 Rand, you find it's obviously ones that go 2,000 and 3,000 Rand for those. But those tend to be very well. I attended a meeting the other day where somebody used one of those headphones and the sound was fantastic. So I really think those are great. And then obviously you need to consider that you need to use fiber as far as possible, or otherwise LTE. Make sure that you've got a solid connection in terms of that, and because that is a big determinant big influence on the experience that somebody has from you. And what I always do before I do a session is I would restart all the routers. And I say all the routers because I've got 3 of them here in my house. So I go and restart all of them. What I've even done is I've run a router. So I've got a router here with me in my studio, which I connect to via a cable. And then that is connected with a cable back to the main router in the house that is obviously then connected to the fiber. Because if you do that, then I know it's a solid. There's no like, oh no, it's too hot, it's too cold, the wind is blowing, and then there's all issues with the Wi-Fi signals. So those kind of things, particularly if you're far from your router, then, and I've had issues where I sat right next to my router, like 3 meters from my router, and I would still have issues sometimes with the Wi-Fi. So I have a wired connection if you can. It's not the end of the world if you don't. But then use fiber or LTE, invest in that, get good connections because you do want to make this experience, particularly if you want to have good quality video as well, then you need a much better connection. And then obviously a second screen. I think that is very important to have that second screen so you are able to have some things maybe that you want to refer to on your working screen, and then the presentation screen is the second screen that you can share. There's nothing else on that screen. I can show you quickly. So let's just say I want to do this. If I do that, that's what my second screen looks like. It's that there's nothing else. You see, there's no files, there's no nothing. It is only it's a blank screen. So whatever I want to use, like now, this is what's showing on my second screen. So you can see, obviously, then this is open. If I want to open anything else, then I can show that to you. Or I can have my slides open on the screen, or a document or a PDF, or whatever it is that I want to show you, I have open on this screen, and I only share this screen. So whatever I'm doing down on my laptop during this presentation, maybe you won't be able to see. All right, so that also works. All right. Then let me take that off. All right. Then let's see quickly. I see a comment. Do you think the Rode video mic would work well? Yes, the Rode video mic would work, Raymond. All the Rode mics are quite good. And particularly if you want to use it for other things, because the video mic is a little shotgun microphone. So what it does is it typically only picks up sound from the front mainly. So it's a small little sort of a shotgun. It's not a shotgun mic, but it's built like a shotgun mic. It's smaller, obviously, and it fits onto a DSLR camera as well. So if you've got a nice DSLR camera that can do video, etc., it just attaches to the top as well. So it's everything in one, and particularly if you've then got a audio in, a mic in on that camera as well, because then it makes it easy. The sound then, instead of coming from the camera, it comes from that microphone, and it's already synced with your video footage. So those things are really, it works great. I'm a big, look, I've got AKG mics. They are just as good, and sometimes a bit cheaper, but Rode really, I don't know why. I just love the Rode stuff. It comes from Oz, which we'll forgive them for, but it's fine. So from that point, that it will definitely work. Definitely, just to answer your question in that sense. Let me quickly see. Yes, yeah. If you want to know about web design and forms and things, you can ask Rosanna. I see she's given some feedback there. Is the security problem on Zoom sorted out? Again, on the problem. Yeah, Surieta, I don't know if you attended my update on Zoom. I did an update on Zoom last week, Tuesday. So you can go watch the video. Is on my YouTube channel, where I give a full update and whether I think you should move away from Zoom or not. It's not sorted out, but it is being sorted out. And also, it's really, I don't see any issues at this point in time to run away from Zoom. But go have a look, because I go into everything in detail, all the issues, what were the latest updates. And then on Wednesday evening will be the next webinar, and I will see, if there's sufficient information. I'll have another update session for that, etc. So I'll keep you updated, but just go have a look at that. And different people will obviously have different views. Okay. Peter says try the Logitech 920. Yes, it's also good. It's like just the one before my 922. There's also a Brio 4K one. So there are different Logitech. As long as you get a Logitech, and as long as it's a 1080p webcam, in my opinion, but at least a 720p, you'll be fine. Morning, Peter. Welcome. Nice to have you back. Is the equipment compatible with MacBook Pro, Apple computer? Yes, Surieta, it is. It works on all the major. So Macs, Linux, Windows, whatever you're using, it'll work on them. Cool beans. Okay, doke. Alrighty. So then we are almost there. Obviously, then once you've got that, we also need to think about the supporting material. So what are you going to give them? Is there going to be downloads? Is there videos that you're going to play during the event? Maybe pre-recorded stuff that you want to share with them? I think the other day I played a video, maybe for you. I can't remember. I don't think I played it here. It was on another thing. But I'll maybe play it if you wonder, where I was speaking about, what it's like to be self-employed or to have a very small business. So it's about a 4-minute video. I'll maybe play that to you somewhere, so that you can see what I'm talking about. But you could have a pre-recorded video that you live stream during your event as well. So it could maybe be from someone who can't be at your event, that you wanted to be a guest speaker or anything like that, or just maybe a short little clip to sort of support your whole story or the whole thing that you're trying to achieve in this. And obviously slides that you want to use. If you want to do polls, that's important. That's nice to get interaction from people. How do you feel about this? How do you feel about that? Do you do this? So that's interesting. We did it during the financial planning refresher, not to the level I want to do it, but I mean, it was great. There was 3 little questions that I asked to get some insights. It helped me to understand from my events point of view, who were in the room, etc. So it was really great. And so you must decide, is polls the thing that you want to use for your particular event? And then obviously the agenda, that's also something that you want to have. And do you offer these things before the time? Do you send it, when the event starts? Do they download it as they go through the different sessions? I don't know. That's up to you. That's some of the things that you need to consider. And then something that we forget, and something that I wish I had, was a support team. I said to my wife the other day, I'm going to train her to sort of help me when I do like the refreshers and the training kind of stuff. Because when I sit here and I talk to you, I can manage everything. It's not a problem. But as soon as I get into like training and somebody emails and says I can't get in, or I lost the link or things like that, then they're there until I take a break. So I can't then give attention to other things. So think about that when you're going to host an event. What happens to a face-to-face event? You've got people that meet and greet people at the door. Then you've got somebody making sure that all the sound is working and the technology and everything is working. When you're the presenter, that's what you focus on. You don't worry about anything else. So those are the kind of things that we really need to sort of consider, who's going to play which role in terms of that, and make sure that everybody's trained and you're comfortable, because you've got to rehearse this stuff before the time. Just like you would have done for a normal event. There's not more work, for virtual events than there would be for a physical event. Then thank you. Not to you now. I'll say thank you later on. On that note, by the way, so a next guest of mine is going to be Kevin Hinton. So you may know him from the Collaborative Exchange or the Investment Forum or Meet the Managers. So I've got Kevin on Thursday. So he'll be here on Thursday. So on Wednesday is Wessel Oosthuis, and Thursday will be Kevin. And we're going to talk a little bit about, having client conversations during this time. And also, how can you use the sort of the content that they created for the investment forum? I mean, they've converted all of that into digital. How can you use that to have conversations with your clients? I'm really looking forward to that. But also, I want to talk to him about how they pivoted and went from a face-to-face event 2 days before the actual event started and got it into a digital thing. Because as far as I know, Kevin decided on the Saturday that they're going to change it to digital. Sunday came the lockdown. Monday was the event, as far as I remember. So that's going to be an interesting conversation as well. I've got one more guest to announce, and that I'll show you, and that I'll tell you what we're going to talk about. But after the event, so now the event is done, everything's gone well, hopefully, or maybe not so well, doesn't really matter. But then we need to say thank you. And that is one of the most powerful words I think we have, and things that we don't use enough, is just saying, thank you for spending time with us. Thank you for making the effort to be there. Thank you for embracing technology. Thank you for being part of our journey. Just say thank you. And again, when you say thank you, you can do it manually. So you can phone everybody afterwards or send them separate emails, whatever. You can have it automated as well. So it really depends on the kind of thing you want. But I think then as part of the thank you is that we also need to try and get feedback. And maybe you can have feedback as a separate step. But feedback is crucial to understand, like maybe from your point of view, this thing went very, very well. But from theirs, not so much. So you want to get the input about how did they experience it, did they enjoy it, did they get value from it, would they attend it again, would they bring friends if they had the opportunity to, whatever that may be. But ask them for that. And you can either have like a set survey kind of setup where you've got very specific questions you want to ask, because that's great if you want to determine specific outcomes and if there's an issue with some specific aspect. Or you can just have, listen, just let me know what you thought. One, chances are very little that you're going to get anything back. And secondly, it's going to be very hard to really get everything together. You can rather in the survey, as the last part, maybe have a general open sort of field where they can put in whatever they want. And don't make it too long. Just focus on 3 or 5 things at the most that you want feedback on, and go with that. And then obviously, when you put this feedback thing together, is that you got to focus on what was the intended outcome and try and determine whether we actually achieve that outcome. So all the questions you ask, the aspects you focus on must all be geared towards that. It doesn't help you asking if they had a comfortable chair to sit in at home and things like that you didn't have any control over. You've got to ask the questions in line with what it is that you wanted to achieve. Then obviously the next sort of thing would then be to take that feedback and analyze it, go through it. And here's the thing that so very few people do. Nobody gives feedback to the clients. Oh, this is what everybody else said about the event. Thank you very much for your feedback. This is the feedback we got. These are the things that were great. These are the things that did not work so great. And this is what how we're going to change things in the future to make it better for you and make it better for future events, etc. So that's very important. And you give that feedback, as I said, to the client, but also to your team to make sure everybody's on the same page. And then you need to look at that and reconsider, okay, so what are we going to change for the next event? And then guess what you do? You plan your next event. You're in it. I would say if you can do 1 or 2 events a year, that's fantastic. If you want to do it quarterly, even more so. I wouldn't do it more often than that. But just go out and enjoy and just go for it, because I think there's a lot of value in hosting events. And also, if you're the first to do it, people take note. I'm experiencing that firsthand. Being first does have an advantage. So have a look at that. My next guest I want to announce, obviously, is Kobus Klein. I said that to you yesterday, that Kobus agreed to come on. And we're going to talk about how do you turn clients into real advocates. As I said, so many of you have been asking me and sending me topic suggestions for referrals. The 2 things that come up a lot is referrals and fees. So I'm going to look at the fees thing, I think, only next week. But, turning clients into advocates is what Kobus and I will be talking about on Friday. So don't miss that. It's going to be great. So you can see a bit more about Kobus and get to meet the man himself and see what he's all about. But yeah, I'm really excited. So those are the 3. Wessel Westhuizen on Wednesday. Thursday, we've got Kevin Hinton. And then on Friday, I have Kobus Klein. So really looking forward to that. And if you've got any suggestions for guests that you think that we should get on the show, please let me know. I'm quite open to sort of investigate that and see if it's going to add value to the community. If it does, then I'll do it. If it doesn't, then unfortunately I won't. But that's how it goes. And let me see if there's any other comments. Charger said the mic you are using is a USB condenser mic. It is a condenser mic, but it is an XLR one. So I've got a mixing desk, the Rodecaster Pro. There I can plug in 4 mics. I can connect my phone. I connect it via USB to my laptop. So that's more advanced setup. That's why a USB microphone is the easiest to use. It plugs directly into your. That's why if you want to go with Rode, the NT USB Mini is going to be the one possibly to look at, because that's a pure USB microphone. You can even connect 2 of them to the same laptop and have a interview style thing like that if you wanted to. But if it's only you, then you only need 1. So that's the easiest setup. It's just a plain USB mic. It's maybe not the best quality in the world, but over the internet and over doing a virtual event, you probably won't notice that much of a difference. If you compare it to your built-in mic, you're going to see a massive difference. I can promise you that. But then from there, you can have things where you need an audio interface, and then from there you can do things like the mixing desk, etc. So I'll put that out in the guide of what the things that you can look out for and that you can really use. Cool beans. So let me see. I'm basically done. Looking forward to the week ahead. Thanks, Kobus. That's providing great value. Jam-packed week. Yep, it is. Thank you, Razan. Thank you, Francis, for interesting range of guests coming up. Thanks for your hard work. It's a pleasure, Peter. They say when you enjoy what you do, you never work. And that's how I feel. So this is fantastic. I'm just very grateful for every person that shows up every day to come and listen to me and to share your thoughts and ask your questions and engage with one another. Thank you very much for that. And on that note, I wish you a fantastic day ahead with your family. Enjoy it. Tomorrow morning, we'll be back. I will let you know my topic. I already know what it is. So I will announce that. I will send that through. So keep an eye on LinkedIn. I'll definitely post it there first, and on my WhatsApp status, and on 1 or 2 other places. And then I'll see you back tomorrow morning. Thank you very much, and stay safe.